Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about and give you a review of Masters of the Universe. As the film starts, in Eternos, the capital city of planet Eternia, young Prince Adam and his friend Tila are trained in the art of battle by Chief of the Royal Guard, Duncan, Tila's father. The city is then attacked by forces led by the evil warlock Skeletor, who takes Adam's parents, King Randor and Queen Marlena, prisoner, while Duncan is gravely injured by a mercenary Trapjaw. The sorceress, guardian of Castle Grayskull, on the outskirts of Eternia, protects Adam by opening a portal for him to escape. She entrusts Adam with the Sword of Power, reminding him to never let go of it, and Adam escapes with the sword through the portal just before Skeletor can get to him. 15 years later, a now adult Adam is working for a human resources company and living with his friend Hussein in Oklahoma City. Adam has become obsessed with finding the Sword of Power, which he lost upon his arrival to Earth, and spends much of his time drawing pictures from memory of people and places in Eternia. Adam finally tracks down the Sword of Power at a comic store and reclaims it, only to be attacked by Skeletor's lieutenant Beastman immediately thereafter. But Tila arrives to rescue Adam, and the two escape with the sword in a ship back to Eternia. Upon arrival back to his home planet, Adam is distraught to see the ruin that has come to Eternos. He is initially dismissed by the warriors of Eternia as a nobody, and he and Tila are thrown into a prison cell where a disheveled Duncan is being held under a drunk and disorderly charge, along with Roboto, a former heroic warrior reprogrammed as a servant. The four escape and convince the warriors, including Fisto, Ram-Man, Mossman, and Mechanic, to trust them. They're then attacked by Skeletor's forces, and Adam uses the Sword of Power to summon the power of Grayskull, after which he transforms into a heroic warrior. He defeats Trapjaw in one-on-one combat, tearing off his mechanized arm, and the group sets off for Skeletor's lair in Snake Mountain. Skeletor, counseled by his own sorceress, Evil Lyn, has become obsessed with finding the Sword of Power in order to rule all of Eternia. Adam arrives and single-handedly defeats Skeletor's personal guard, but Skeletor reveals Adam's father, King Randor, as a hostage. Adam and Skeletor briefly fight, but a wayward strike causes the ceiling to cave in on top of Randor, who tells Adam how proud he is of him before dying in Adam's arms. Along with the rest of his group, Adam is taken to a prison cell again, where he is reunited with his mother, Marlena. Skeletor, now in possession of the sword, returns to Eternos to claim his throne, terrorizing the inhabitants and executing dissenters, including Mossman. Adam and his team manage to escape their prison cell and travel to Eternos for a final battle with the evil forces. Fisto, Ram-Man, and Mechanic take on Skeletor's army, while Duncan manages to kill Trapjaw in a duel, but not before Roboto is blown to pieces. After reuniting with his tiger-like companion, Cringer, Adam confronts Skeletor, and the two duel while Tila takes on Evil Lyn. During the battle, the Sword of Power is shattered by Skeletor's Havoc Staff, and Adam is stabbed and placed into a telepathic trance-like limbo by Skeletor. The sorceress visits Adam in the dream and tells him that it is he, not the sword, that truly harbors the power of Grayskull. Adam snaps out of the trance, reanimates the Sword of Power, and finally defeats Skeletor in one-on-one combat, causing him to disintegrate in the face of Adam's power, while Evil Lyn escapes in the confusion. 6 months later, Eternos has been restored to its former glory, with Queen Marlena as monarch and Prince Adam revered as a hero. His friends gather with a refurbished Roboto, and his ex-roommate, Hussein, joins them to witness that everything Adam told him was true. Tila asks whether Adam wants to give himself a name, and he chooses He-Man. The credits start to roll, but in a series of post-credit scenes, the wizard Orko reveals that he may have had a hand in the events of Eternia. Adam's long-lost twin sister, Princess Adora, aka She-Ra, is fighting a battle in the Fright Zone, and Evil Lyn retrieves Skeletor's skull. And that's where the movie officially ends. So, I grew up, of course, with the Masters of the Universe cartoon, which I liked, but I wasn't a crazy big fan of it, you know? I watched it, it was cool, but I wasn't, a hardcore He-Man fan. My brother and I did have some of the toys, a couple of the action figures, maybe a Battle Cat. I think we had Castle Grayskull. So there was that too, but I was never a huge fan of it. I did watch the two animated seasons of it that they just aired a couple of years ago, and I thought that was pretty good. I, of course, saw the original movie with Dolph Lundgren, who, by the way, has a cameo in this movie. I didn't mention it earlier, but he's in the movie as a fellow gym goer alongside Adam, and I laughed out loud when I saw him. It was very funny. But I didn't think too much of that movie back in the day. I mean, it was okay. But I did like this movie. I thought it was pretty good. I think, they benefited in this one from having cast an actual actor as Adam slash He-Man or as He-Man, because I don't think Dolph Lundgren actually played Adam at any point in that movie. But anyway, Dolph Lundgren was great for the role because of his physique, but other than that, he wasn't really an actor, and he still isn't. But he was just so right for the part physically that I guess they couldn't resist casting him. But anyway, this movie is full of really great humor. It pokes a lot of fun at modern society, which I thought was cool. And Jared Leto is, I think, great as Skeletor. Camila Mendes is excellent as Tila. I love Camila Mendes. I would watch her paint a fence. She's fantastic. I'd watch her in anything. So she's really good. Idris Elba, of course, does a great job as Duncan, aka Man at Arms. But on that note, I want to say that I didn't like the characterization of Man at Arms in this movie. In the cartoon, he's a very sort of wooden, sort of one-dimensional, like military commander, and in this he's just like a dad who happens to be good with, I guess, combat stuff. And so I didn't like that. I didn't think that was really the character. I don't think it detracts from the movie in enough of a way that you could really count it as a negative aspect. There were a couple of other things I didn't like. In the cartoon, in the 80s or whatever, and all the other iterations, nobody knew that Adam was He-Man. And in this movie, everybody knows. And they even make a joke about it at the end, kind of. So I thought that was kind of not good. I mean, I guess if there's a sequel, they're probably going to have everybody pretend they don't know or whatever. That they kind of hinted at that. And I hope they would, but if they don't, it would be really dumb that everybody knows he's He-Man, because that was really central to the cartoon that not everybody knew. Nobody knew. I didn't like that he never points the sword at Cringer and turns him into Battle Cat. He just says, "Hey, Cringer, you want to go into battle with me?" And Cringer's like, "Okay." And he does, but he doesn't. Cringer never really cringes, and he never gets actually like turned into Battle Cat with the power of Grayskull. So I don't know why they did that, why they didn't follow the lore there. I was disappointed with that. You don't get to see Orko until the end. I thought that was bad. I would have wanted to see Orko during the story. I'm not sure why they put him at the end. Again, I think they might have thought that they were saving some things for the sequel, She-Ra, for example. But I don't know. I think Orko should have been in the main movie. And there was at least one action sequence where I thought that the either CGI or special effects or whatever it is they did to make it seem like Adam was riding like a little speeder in the sky looked kind of bad. It didn't look realistic. And in 2026, I mean, things should basically look photorealistic in movies, and this didn't. You could tell it was, fake. And I was disappointed by that. But most of the time, everything, worked in that category, the special effects. But in this one scene, it didn't, and it took me out of it, which I thought was annoying. Another thing I didn't like about the movie is, he's been on Earth for 15 years, and he's been obsessed with finding this sword. And he puts out like a call on the internet in a bunch of different ways for if anyone has seen the sword. And when someone finally says, "Yes, I've seen it," it's at a comic book shop in his hometown. Like, really? And he couldn't find it for 15 years? I thought that was dumb. Also, they didn't show us anything at all about Adam's home life on Earth. Like, there are some brief scenes of him as a kid, like trying to, get along as a stranger in a strange land, as it were. But you don't get to see his home life at all, like who his parents were, nothing about his upbringing. I thought that was a little strange. I thought they should have included some of that. But, I thought it was a good movie. A 3.5 out of 5. It's not anything spectacular, but it was pretty good and enjoyable fun movie. And you know, you're always going to find people that have complaints. There are people who say that they made He-Man the butt of the jokes because it's anti-men, and that's not true. They spend just as much time making fun of modern sensitivity culture as they do making fun of Adam. So I don't think it was any kind of like agenda or it was trying to be anti-men. Sadly, the movie is not doing well, apparently, which I don't understand because it's pretty good. And while people have had some negative things to say about it, like I said, because they think it's woke or whatever, it hasn't been a tremendous amount that I've noticed. It hasn't been super harsh like it has been with other projects. So I don't know why it's tanking. It opened against some competition that turned out to be formidable. Obsession and Backrooms, one of which I've seen, Backrooms, it was really good. But other than that, I don't know why it's not doing well. And it's unfortunate because it's doing so poorly that I don't think we're going to get that sequel that I said earlier. I thought perhaps they had held something back in order to have for the sequel. One thing being sexual tension between Adam and Tila, because there's a very tiny bit of it in this movie. And I think that's because they were holding it back for a sequel where they wanted to drag out the will they, won't they. But I don't think they're going to get the sequel unless things have a massive turnaround. And that's unfortunate because it's pretty good. It's a good movie. So we'll have to see how it goes as far as that. But otherwise, that's all I have to say. So I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.